Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Hi, it's Nicola here, and I am indoors again today because it's 42 degrees outside, and I've decided that rather than sweating buckets on the balcony with the noisy old cicadas in the background, which Phoebe has complained about, they're difficult to reduce in sound apparently, I'm going to stay indoors and put the air conditioning on, and be comfortable for recording this so that I'm not feeling like a sweaty mess all the time. I absolutely love the warm weather, I love it. I love the fact that as soon as I finish this I can upload and I can go down the beach, lie on a sunbed, read novels, swim, hang out in the various tavernas with my new friends, and just have a lovely time. People spend all their time outdoors here, and that's the way I want to live my life. I love that. So what else has been news? We had a minor power cut for an hour or so. They very conveniently put the power cuts on a website for us to be able to tell when they're going to finish, and actually they usually finish quicker than they say they're going to. And we've also had a bit of a water shortage because although the Peloponnese is very well served for water, and in fact we get all our water from mountain streams, occasionally they do have to turn off the water to certain areas just so that the tourist areas don't go short. And of course, tourists being a massive business in the southern Peloponnese right now, they want all the tourists to be comfortable, and actually it's not that big a deal. We all get bottled water anyway for free because we just go and fill our bottles up at the standpipes that tap into the mountain streams. So there's always a plentiful supply of good water around. You just have to go down the beach to use the showers there sometimes. Okay, this week I've been settling my 26 new Aussie entrepreneurs into my Be Everywhere online course. I've been starting to host the live calls for that, and I've been working on my own marketing in terms of restarting my Facebook ads campaign. Basically, I'm doing a 4-level Facebook ads campaign, which is an evergreen campaign. Basically, what you do is you have your first level, which brings in the new people to your orbit, as it were, and then you make your free offer on the second level to people who've interacted with your page, visited your website, or watched some of your content to a certain point. And then you have a third level, which is where you advertise to the people who took action, i.e. registered for your webinar but then didn't watch the webinar. And the fourth level is when you advertise to the people who did consume your content all the way through but they didn't purchase at the time. Now that could be for any reason. It could be, you know, they got called away for Sunday lunch, or they had to go out suddenly, or perhaps they watched it through to the end and they just didn't click the button and then they lost the page. So it's always a good idea to follow up with people who took certain actions and encourage them along the next step in your sales and marketing funnel. On this section I want to talk about data mining, and I don't want to put the wind up anyone, but I did hear a rather disturbing story yesterday, which is that one of my friends who's got a public place and who gives free internet to the visitors to that public place has just taken on a new web designer, and the new web designer has put something in front of the internet which encourages people to either sign in via Facebook or to give the email address in order to get access to the free internet. Now that is a very good idea because it enables you to build a database of people who visit your public place. So for example, if you've got a tea shop, if you've got a restaurant, if you've got a bar, if you've got a gift shop, if you've got anywhere where people come, like an art gallery or whatever, this is a great way of letting people people get online to share your stuff and check in and tell everyone how wonderful your place is, but it also is a great way of building a mailing list of your visitors and customers. The problem was that my friend didn't have any idea what was happening to those email addresses and didn't have any idea what was happening to the Facebook sign-ins either, because they weren't aware that that data should be coming to them. And I'm a little bit concerned that this person who has made the website or is in the process of making the website is data mining and then selling on my friends' contacts and customers. That would be really, really upsetting. Just be a bit wary when you take on a new web designer. If they start asking you to do things you don't understand what it's for, just question it. You've got the right to question it, and you've got the right to your own data that's being generated by your customers and visitors and prospects. So the other thing is that this person had paid all the money up front for a new website. I can't believe people still do this in this day and age. You should never have to pay more than 50% up front, and I would certainly think about doing perhaps 3 or 4 staged payments. Any project like this, break it down into smaller steps and deliverables, and make sure that you don't pay. It's a bit like having a builder in. You wouldn't pay a builder up front 100% to come and put a new extension on your house or a loft conversion, would you? You just simply wouldn't do it. And it's really heartbreaking to hear that web designers out there are unscrupulous and are asking people to pay them up front. And he's data mining the info. There's only a 1-page website so far, and it's really very upsetting. So for me anyway, because I know how things should be done, I just wanted to give you all a little bit of a heads up that this is not normal behaviour. You shouldn't have to pay more than a percentage up front, and you shouldn't be having your web tech people having access to your data when you don't have access to your data. It's all very well if you strike a deal perhaps and you say, okay, you go out and perhaps you can share the data and you can we'll split the income from the rental of the data. But even then, I think it's not very fair to your customers and your prospects and your visitors to let that be happening, because they haven't said that they're happy for that. I know they're ticking a box that says they're fine with the terms and conditions, but whoever reads the terms and conditions, We just want to get online, don't we? So after my little rant there, which I got quite worked up about, I'm just going to give you some guidelines. So when you take on a new web designer, talk through the project stages and work out a staged payment. It's okay for the web designer to request some money up front, because he wants to know that you're serious and that you're going to supply the parts he needs to get on with the job. But it should never be more than 50%, and I would suggest that you break it down into the thirds or even quarters. The other thing is, if they start suggesting things like getting a file, some sort of gateway in front of your visitors or your prospects or your people who come to your place and use your internet, then do, for God's sake, make sure that you know where that data's going, and that you have a signed agreement between you that says what he is and or she is and isn't allowed to do with it. Hope that helps, and I will talk to you next week. Okay, so on the blog and the podcast this week, I have my handy notes. On the blog, we were talking about obstacles and setbacks last week. We were talking about how there are always obstacles and setbacks and how you can overcome them. I've got a patented tool to identify potential obstacles in advance. Patented, that's a lie, it's not patented at all. It involves a bunch of post-it notes, and it was taught to me by one of my mentors in America. But I do share it, and it is incredibly practical tool for working out what things might stop you in your tracks while you're building a new business. That's in my Your Best Year Yet training, and you get that when you join the Inner Circle. In fact, you get all my trainings when you join my Inner Circle membership, past, present and future, as long as you're a member. So if you want to find out how to use the post-it note technique to blast through any obstacles in your business or life, then do come along to nicolacairncross.com, and that'll get you straight into the VIP waiting list. What else? On the blog, we talked last week about hosted content and how important it is to have a backup of your content somewhere else, i.e. in the cloud, not on your hard drive, which can become corrupted, not on your computer, which can accidentally get wiped. Always have a copy of all your important content and important marketing materials and any important documents in the cloud, obviously password protected. So yeah, go and check out at nicolacairncross.com/blog, and it's that way, isn't it? No, it's that way for you. That's good. And on the podcast this week, we were talking about business boundaries. Last week, we were talking about a new freelancer who is experiencing a few challenges. Just needs to learn how to be a clean communicator, because if you can communicate cleanly without lots of emotion and get your needs met that way, then not only do you earn the respect of your colleagues and employers and customers, but it saves you an awful lot of grief as well. I'm one of the world's worst offenders at this. I get very emotional about everything, and it's one of the skills I've had to learn. And Judith, my partner on the podcast, is 40 years as a self-employed person, and really is very good at this indeed, the clean communication stuff, although she does sometimes have to talk herself down before she can do clean communication. She has to calm down a bit. Also on the podcast the week before, we were talking about entrepreneurial certainty. Does it exist? Can you find it? And can you learn to live with it if it doesn't exist? I hope you enjoy the podcast and the blog, and I hope you enjoy these V-zines. If you'd like to comment, if you're on the blog, you can comment by clicking the link above. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can comment by pressing the link underneath. And I love to read your comments, and I would really love to tackle some of your challenges in the middle bit. So do feel free to email me at nicola@nicolacairncross.com. And as I say, if you want to come along and be mentored by me, it's nicolacairnext.com, and that'll take you straight to the VIP waiting list. Thanks very much. See you next week.